Today is a really beautiful and sunshiny day, and of course that's why my neighbor is mowing his lawn and working in his garden with his very noisy machines, which makes it for me impossible to make a video here in the workshop. But on the other hand, it's also magnificent weather to, for example, show you around here on the local tram association, as promised. Let's do this. The original tram line was built in the late 1800s to connect the railroad station to all kind of little villages in the neighborhood. And this particular line was almost 25 kilometers in length, and it stopped working in the late 1950s. And then there was this bunch of enthusiasts that said it should be sad to see this thing disappear, because a whole part of the original railroad was already ripped off and scrapped, and there was a little portion left. Two little portions, about 8 kilometers, and then a little bit further also a few kilometers. That's it. And they started an association, and this year, this was 60 years ago, so I think it's quite an achievement. And they named the association Tram Touristic de Lijnen. Tram because of course it's a tram, not a train. Touristic because it's not commercial anymore, and Lijnen because it's the name of the river. The tram rails follow more or less the valley of the river Lijnen. That's why. And here behind me, this is the main building. This is where we start, and the total length of the line is 12 kilometers. But we do also some shorter trajects at 6 kilometers. And in front of this main building there is of course also the playground. Very important place. Of course this tramway also transported goods, not only passengers, because of the roads were very small and trucks and trailers didn't exist. Did exist, but just a little bit. And so, for example, they also transported wood for this old sawmill that is still in operation. We're here now at 2 kilometers from our start position. And this is of course the depot. In here we have only old stuff. And when I come work for the railroad people, or the tram people as I call them, of course this is the place where I spend the most of my time. Let's have a closer look. This is the place that we like to call our Moneymaker, because coming up here 6 kilometers and then we switch the motorists, we put it on the other side of the wagons, of the cars, and then we go back 6 kilometers, and the whole thing is about 1 hour, and this is what the most tourists want. From here, of course, we can continue 6 kilometers more and then come back, and that is of course more or less 2 hours, and we do this once a day, and the short traject is twice a day. That's why it's the Moneymaker. Right behind me, but I can show you because it's private, there is this old sawmill, and they make their last planks about many years ago, and since then nothing has moved over there, and all the machines they have, they're all museum pieces. It's private owned, and I think it's a little bit a shame. They should turn this thing in a museum and then connect it to the tram, because a walk from here to there, not even 1 minute.
C'est tous des amoureux du train. Les Hollandais sont au courant pour ça.
And what I also think is a little bit a shame that I can't share with you is the smell. The sunshine on these old wooden sleepers. It has this smell. When you go in the depot, all this old machinery has this smell. The grease on the sides of the rails, on the switches, has this smell. When you go a little bit further into the woods, you have the smell of the woods. It smells spring, flowers, you know. But on video, it doesn't work. can see, there is still a lot of work that has to be done. And my personal problem is of course that everything in a tramway is heavy. Tools are heavy, sleepers, rails, everything is heavy. And to do all this work, for the moment, we are more or less 20 volunteers. There's not a single professional in this association. We all work with volunteers. Of course, there's lots of people in there with tons of experience in railroads and whatever things needed. For the technical part, for the moment, we are 4. And we do just a few hours a week. And as you could see in this little short video, there is a lot to be done. All this old junk needs to be restored. There's a lot of railway sleepers that needs to be replaced. And with 4 people, it's not very quickly. But that is of course the same problem in whatever association. We need more volunteers and we also need more, but what to do?